All right, shalom, yashala, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Brakatah, Yahweh Shema Bashim Yahushai. We're at the Isupk. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969. We're under commanding General Yohana, here to teach the truth of the Bible for blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, their real history. You understand? And Friday classes are the Lashawan Kodash class, Lashawan Kodash, the ancient Hebrew class. As you see, we use two different alphabets. Today, we're gonna jump right into it. Today, we're going to brush up on the alphabets just to kind of ease into what we're getting into today, which is we're going to be talking about the 12 tribes, as far as the names of the tribes, how they translate into the ancient Hebrew, and then also how they look in the Assyrian Hebrew. It's very important to know, especially given that most of what we do during the Sabbath service is we refer to the tribes. We refer to tribes when we're coming up to the altar to read, coming up to the altar for specific purposes where we're saying our registry. You understand the tribe that we're from, our name, and so it's important to understand the letters so that we can spell those things out. Because we're not just saying this just to say it. Fake Israelite groups out there, they don't necessarily have the discipline to go and learn the entire language, let alone learn the ancient form of the language. Because you see Israelites out there that try to use the Yiddish form, or they try to use the bastardized versions that came later on. So we're diverting away from that and going back to the original. Now, when it comes to the ancient Hebrew, of course, the ancient language begins with ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, and then za. All right. Next line. Ha. You can follow along right here if you need help. And again, we're just brushing through this real quick. Ha ta ya. All right. Ka la ma na sa I pa taza kwa ra sha and tha. This is the foundation of our language in its oldest form. Again, keep in mind there are no vowels in this language, only consonants. Okay, even words that you would assume would be a vowel, like ah, right? Um, not even a vowel. Okay, the Bible clearly has the most ancient form of writing. When we're talking about the Lashawan Kodash, this is this is the oldest form of the Hebrew known to us, and this is the form that we go with when we're reading. Abagada hawaza khataya kalamanasa ipa taza kwa rasha tha. So that is the Hebrew language in the ancient form. If anybody has any questions on that, of course, we do have the original first couple of weeks where we go in depth writing these letters, and how to pronounce them, but also keeping in mind that as we learn it, we're actually learning it two ways, right? So we're actually learning the Hebrew more than one way. Whereas you have ah, now here we go going into the Assyrian Hebrew. All right. Ah, and we got ba. Always have that lip here. Remember that lip. Ga, da, ha. Make sure that you have this in where it's not connected right here. That's how you make sure that it's a ha. Aba, ga, da, ha. Wa. Wa is more or less a straight line with the hook at the end. And then za is just like this. Ha. All right. Ta. And I always let people know. Think of a toast, a piece of toast. Just look like a piece of toast, right? Like you put in the toaster oven. Ta. Ya. All right. Ka. La. Okay. Let's see. Ma, na. All right. Sa, I, pa. Again, pa looks very similar to the ancient Hebrew form. It just has a little claw at the on the top of it. And we got tazah. It's important not to get tazah mixed up with I. I, as you can see, comes in just curves straight in. Tazah comes in and it swoops almost like an hourglass. It actually finishes that curve and then it comes straight across. So let's not get those mixed up. And the reason why, whenever you see me write Tazah, I'm actually writing most of it at first. I always come across like this and then go across and then I'll finish that Y look to it. That's kind of what helps me. Now, of course, you don't have to copy me exactly. That's what helps me keep the form of it. Almost kind of like how we do right here with Ka, where it actually comes across and then like this. This is just basically within the same amount of space. You're doing a motion that curves down and then goes into that, and then you finish that. I don't want to even call it a Y look because that's what we think of when we see this figure right here. But we're thinking of completely different letters here. Tazah. Again, let's go with what we have so far. Abaga da ha wa za. Khataya. Kala mana sa ipa. Tazah. And we have qua. It does not connect here at the top and then comes a little bit outwards like that. Ra looks like a lowercase r that's just faced the other way. Ra, and then we have Sha, which is very similar to the ancient Paleo Hebrew form, where it kind of looks like sharp teeth, right? And as a matter of fact, Sha actually does mean, I believe it does mean teeth or sharp, something like that. Sha, and then we have Tha, which goes like this. Just keep in mind how that curves in and then curves out right here. That'll help you remember what Tha looks like. So we just did the alphabet in the ancient Hebrew and then again in the modern Hebrew. Now, again, just to recap, just for some of y'all that are tuning in for among, the first times y'all are tuning into the class, I'll be sure to keep tabs on the chat here. The difference between, and I got to line these up so you can see, there's a couple letters that have end versions of their letter, right? Ka, for instance. Here's Ka. Right? There's Ka. Ka, when it's used, typically like throughout the word, remember going from right to left, when you're using it, right? Like say, for instance, I'll look at the word star, right? Star is Ka, Wa, Ka, the Ba at the end. Kawakab means star, okay? But you'll notice that if you ever have to use the K and you're doing the modern Hebrew, when it's used at the end of a word, trying to think of an example, malak, I believe, which I want to say malak either means priest or king, if I'm not mistaken. But remind me, malak. So say I'm doing this in the modern Hebrew or the Assyrian, ma, right? And then la, and then the K at the end. But guess what? It's not going to be this K right here, because whenever you're using some of these letters at the end of a word, it's going to be a different look to it. And you'll notice that if we were drawing like a dotted line to kind of give us an idea where the lettering is supposed to be written on the page, keep in mind that these ones, except for M is just basically this, just without that lip coming out the end. That's the only difference between it and the end version, right? But when you look at these other ones, they actually drag down just ever so slightly further beyond the boundary that you normally are writing your letters in. So that's kind of how you would keep track on how to write it, that's what the end ka looks like. And you can see that right here where we're comparing ka in the ancient Hebrew, the modern Hebrew, and then the end version of the modern Hebrew, right? Malak. Malak. No, Kahan means priest. Malak means, I believe, Malak means king. Um, so that's one of them. The next one, and we're just kind of going down the list here. Ma, right? Ma. Here's ma regular. Regular. And of course, it being on the end is actually going to be on the left side, right? Because that's how Hebrew is written from right to left. So ma, when it's used anywhere else in the letter, looks like this. But when it's used at the end, it's more squared off. Okay. Nah. These are just the exceptions to the rule, because this is, another reason why brothers like myself, especially, prefer the old Paleo Hebrew, is because you ain't got to deal with all this. Every letter is just what it is, no matter what. But when you start to get into the Assyrian, the modern Hebrew, you will see these variations on 5 of these letters. There's only 5 of them that do that, so you do want to keep that in mind as you're starting to, read during your Sabbath services, as you're starting to, read prayers and things like that. Because there's going to come a time where, heck, we could be reading prayers and it's going to be only this. It's not going to be with the English letters. We don't need to have that crutch forever. We should be striving to master the language so that we can understand what the pictorials and the hieroglyph, or whatever you want to call it, the actual ancient letters, what they say, so we can rely more on our own language rather than, our firstly learned language. Then when you have na, when it's at the end, let's not get it mixed up with wa, because wa looks almost exactly like na. But remember what I mentioned before. If we were to draw that dotted line here, when it's an end version of a word, it tends to go a little bit beyond that, and that's how you'll know what it is. When you see it on an app like Blue Letter Bible, Bible Hub, you may see it more of like a straight line, but that straight line in comparison to wa would be slightly longer than that. So keep those in mind. So again, there's 3 out of the 5. Then we have pa. Pa is simply like this. Oh, select. I'm actually tripping. Hold on. Select it. Boom. Like that. Yeah, because we're not even looking at the Lashon Kodash. No, we're not. We're looking at the Assyrian Hebrew. So, pa goes like this, and pa, very similar to ka up here. It kind of goes across and then kind of just meets in the middle and drags further down. Except the difference is you have this little hook here, just like how you have it over here. So pa goes like that. And just because I don't have room on it, tazah also has. Let me see if I could draw this a little bit smaller and make sure I got enough space for everything. Pa, ma, nah. Nah, goes like that, and then like this. All right. Then you have pa, which goes like this. And then like that. And then finally you have tazah. Tazah. Wow, typically, remember how we drew that? Goes across and then like that. And then you finish that up. Tazah, the actual line that drags down is on the left side. Right? So those are the ones that actually have variations. Let's just kind of line it up like this so we don't get this one mixed up with this row. But ka, ma, na, pa, and tazah, when they have a letter that's used at the end of the word, just remember there's a different version of it. And that's, of course, only when we're looking at the modern Hebrew, not the ancient Hebrew. Okay. So we wanted to kind of just touch up real quick at the beginning of this class today on the actual letters, the alphabet itself. Now, last week, what did we go over? We started going over some of the prepositions, some of the things that you add to at the beginning and the end of words to give it a little bit more sentence structure, right? Um, just to kind of just do an example, Bahasham. 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 Sham means name. Means name. So what is it that we're talking about here in this recap? We're talking about the way that we put words together to prepare them for sentences, right? Bahasham is a really good example where sham is the base word that means name. Ba means in, and the or ha means the. In the name. In the name. So when we say Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, we're saying the Most High in the name of Christ, in the name Yahweh Shai, right? So this is, again, we're going to go more and more into some of these things as we continue on. Today, we're just switching gears just a little bit. We will definitely be continuing with some of our sentence structure here in the coming weeks, but it's good since it's been our third or fourth class. We're going to be touching up on a couple of those basic things. And one of the most basic things that we could definitely go into are the 12 tribes themselves. And if we have time, we'll start to look into maybe some of the 18 nations to know the names of the nations as well. Right. So, first tribe, the head tribe, okay, Judah. Judah. This is probably the most commonly referred to tribe out of all of them because, of course, the term Jew comes from this word right here, Judah, which means what? If anybody knows, and post it in the chat. Judah. We know them today as the so-called Negro. Came here on slave ships, right? It was prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter 28. The tribe of Judah, the same tribe that Christ himself came from, the same tribes that fled Rome in 70 AD when the Romans came to conquer Israel. Judah. They fled into Africa and they didn't necessarily blend in with Africa because our cultures were so different, but we were dark skinned like the Africans, or at least the tribe of Judah was dark skinned like the Africans, as well as Benjamin and Levi, but we'll get to that too. So Judah is Yahwadah. That's the pronunciation. I put it in English words right there so that we can tackle this word by word. And putting this together, we're going to put this together in the ancient Hebrew and then also in the Assyrian. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just pull up the live. That way I can see any questions in the chat. You know what I'm saying? It's always important to keep in contact with the audience. You just always want to make sure to do that whenever possible. Okay. Let me see here. All right, correct. Paleo again, chiming in from Ohio. Yeah, no sweat, no sweat. Kordash Yalad wants me to go ahead and do Paleo one more time, so we will do that, all right? I got you, brother. Don't even sweat it. All right, so before we go into the tribes, let me go ahead and cover what he wanted to go over real quick. Again, the Paleo Hebrew is the more simplistic term, right? Just to kind of give you a little bit more visual here. Ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za. We'll start with these. So the first one, looks just like this. Ba, come across, go up like you're doing a triangle, but then curve over the rest of it. Okay. Ba, you may see ba. Sometimes you might see ba where it's all the way up here and then across. I'm just going off of the test. Halfway up, boom, just like that. Okay. Ba, ga. Ga is almost like a number 7, almost, but not quite. It's almost a little bit tilted, right? Da, everybody knows da because the Magan Dawa Da, or David's name, is 2 of these put together. It's the most common way to cut so-called Jewish people or people that think that it's like the Star of Rim-Fam or some goofy stuff like that makes no sense. Ha, as you see here, looks like a backwards F with 3 prongs coming out, right? Ha. Wa, when I was first learning the language, wa looks like a Y. So whenever you think wa, Y, it's kind of like you're pronouncing it very similar. But wa basically looks like a hook, right? A hook with the prong coming out. You understand? Za. This is one that can't be mistaken. Z stood the test of time, right? Za. Abagada hawaza. Cha. Ta. Ya. Ka. La. Ma. Na. Sa. Pa. Taza. Qua. Ra. Sha. And Tha. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure to share the class. Just gonna share class right quick. As for right now, though, study this first row. Abagadahawaza. And if anything, just like how I mentioned in the first couple classes, the best way for you to practice it is to actually do an entire line of the same letter over and over. Start on the right side, work your way left, write down the English letters, and then from then on, as you're moving left, just write down the letter ah, and then you want to copy that every time and say it too every time you write it, so that you can really just, it's like you're imprinting it in your mind on how it looks when you say it, how you write it, all those things come together. So it's important to do that with any language that you're learning, especially when you're talking about alphabets, right? So take a second to look at that. I'm going to start sharing the class. I'm going to be right here with y'all. Again, go ahead and post any questions you have here in the chat. You understand? Let me see. Okay. Almost done. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. On Christ. All right, there we go. So I just gave you all a little bit of time here so you could write down the letters. We're just again going over the ancient Hebrew real quick once more. All right. Abagadahawaza. Ka. Ka looks like a ladder, right? Specifically with 3 lines through it. Ka is very similar the letter H in English, but it does have more lines going across. Just keep in mind that you got to pronounce that ha with it just a little bit. You ain't got to go all crazy like the so-called Jewish man does. You ain't got to do all that. Ha, ta, ta looks like a target, right? So think of it like that. Ta, if you can remember target, you can remember ta. And it's just basically a circle with an X through it. Okay, ya. Ya, this is probably the most well-known letter out of all of them because this is the one you see when people are writing down the Most High's name, Yahweh, right? Yahweh. That's how his name begins with the Y. Yah. Yeah, yeah, is how it looks. All right. Ka. Ka actually does look like a K, except it curves around the outside and then the inside still does that the prongs that come up. But as you notice, it's flipped around because when we think of K, we think of it in English, it looks like that. Or if it's in lowercase, it kind of looks, a little bit different. But K in the English language and Ka in the ancient Hebrew language, they are actually pretty similar. It's just turned around because you have to think different than you were taught growing up, going from right to left, reading right to left because that's what Hebrew is, right? La, la looks very similar to the L already, so that makes it a bit easier to remember. Okay, Khataya, ka, la. Now we have ma, and as you see, ma has a bit of it, like it almost kind of looks like a Y, but before it does the whole Y little squiggly right here, it actually has these jagged edges right here. And there's one, you'll notice there's one, two, three, and then you go into the Y. While as na, you just have that. So there's like there's two teeth here and only one tooth here, right? So ma and na are kind of similar in the English language because as you notice how everything's backwards, M and N, there's two teeth pointing up, and in here you just have one tooth. So even in the Hebrew, some of that has actually um, stood the test of time as well, and some of that has carried over. Just remember writing these things down to practice them. Right? Refer to this diagram here where I'm actually showing you the letters, and really we're just going over what's already here. So you already have the answer of what these words are going to look like if you're just looking right here. Sa, right next to it. Sa is a single line within the S going across like this, right? And how is that similar to what we know the letter S? Because S goes like this, right? And all we're doing is we're just cutting off the ends and then drawing a line in the middle, right? So Sa in its ancient Hebrew form just looks like that. Okay. I, the ancient Hebrew for I looks like an eyeball. Okay. And we're not trying to be all comedic or any kind of goofy, so-called conscious community type stuff, but as a pictorial language, that is what that letter does represent. It represents your eye. I is a circle. Pa, which means mouth in Hebrew, looks like a mouth, kind of like a Pac-Man mouth, right? Pac-Man style, but obviously the style is a little different. As think Pac-Man, think mouth, right? Have it opened up like that. Okay, Tazah, easy to remember Tazah because it starts off as a T and ends as a Z, right? Tazah is basically just a straight line like you would start any letter T, but then the za part just kind of comes out. Now notice that I moved a bit. It's not like Tazah, you will not see it like this, right? You're going to see the line here, and then just a little bit further down is where you see that Z connect to it. Tazah, all right? Tazah. And that's kind of similar to how we would assume that it would be written in English if it was two letters mashed together. Tazah, right? Because we have ta and we have za, but tazah looks like this, okay? And it's a completely different letter, and it's not a vowel, it is a consonant, okay? Qua, qua, qua. Kind of like a jellyfish, right? Qua just basically has this semicircle with a line drawn down the middle. Ra, ra, think of a flag faced backwards. It's almost like you're getting ready to draw the letter R and capitalize, but it's faced the other way, right? Because when you draw R, it goes like that. However, the letter is sharp. Okay, sha, sha, and then finally tha, which looks like a T that's fallen over to the side and it's diagonal a little bit. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. I may have exaggerated on that right there because a lot of times you may see tha and it damn near looks like an X, but technically this part right here has to be a little bit longer. And that's how you finish the tha. You understand? I hope that answers your question. Those in the chat that wanted me to recap the ancient Hebrew, all right, went ahead and did that for you. If you missed it, go ahead and rewatch the class later so you can get that down. I'm gonna leave this on screen for 1 minute. So for any of you that need to write this down, or if any of you need to compare this with what you see here, just to make sure that it does look the same for the ancient Hebrew, now's the time to go ahead and do that. Okay, go ahead and write it down. I'll give you all a minute to do that, and then we're gonna get into these 12 tribes. Okay, bear with me 1 second. Give it another 30 seconds. I hope the board is legible enough. I'm trying to write as dark as I can with this marker, but it's not exactly a brand new marker, so just bear with me 1 second here. All right. All right, so we're good there. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. And of course, the ISUPK, I honestly don't really see any other groups out there that use the ancient Hebrew as much as we do. Some of them may actually use it. A lot of them don't use it at all. Um, I don't understand why not, because it's language that belongs to them. So really, it's just a matter of us getting back to our culture. And if it's about getting back to our culture, language is one of the most important parts of our culture. So it's important to learn these things. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. I almost want to put a Z at the end just because of lost tribes, but I'm refraining from it. The 12 tribes. The first tribe that we're going to talk about is Judah. As we mentioned before, Judah is the head tribe. Judah is known today as the so-called Negroes. And the name is pronounced in ancient Hebrew as Yahawada. 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 Now, when we write that in the ancient Hebrew, that's going to look like this. We're going to start with the Yah. And I'm really just going down the line right here, right? Matching it with these just to make it easier for y'all to see. Yah, ha, okay, wa, da, da. And notice that we're putting a H at the end, but these two letters are connected. So it's pronounced Yahawada, not Yahawadaha, right? Yahawada. Yahawada. And we're studying how to say these letters as we're going along. Yah, where's Yah? Right here. Ha, wa, da, and then a ha at the end to connect it. Okay. Yehowadah. All right. Now, how about in the modern Hebrew? Okay. The modern Hebrew is slightly different. Yah. Again, Yah in the Assyrian Hebrew is a much smaller letter compared to the all other letters in the language. So always remember that. Yah, Ha, okay, Wa, yeah, Ha, Wa, and then Da, Da goes across, and then it's almost like a T, but where the line is offset to the right a little bit, not all the way at the end, but like halfway there. There's the Da. Yahawada. Yahawada. This is the tribe of Judah. Again, Yah, matching it up right here. Ha, right there. Wa, right next to it. Wa just kind of curves down like that. Da, which is not like the triangle in the ancient Hebrew, but T with the offset line vertical. And then the Ha again, because again, we are joining the H with the D to finish out the word. Okay. Yahawada as the so called Negroes. Okay. The tribe of Judah. This is important because if a Jewish man tries to tell you that he's a Jew and you ask him what tribe they're from, if he's going to even try to guess, most of the time they're going to try to say Judah, which doesn't make any sense because we go into the Bible and tell you that Judah is darkened to the ground. and then when they try to say, oh, he's just saying he was sad, well, then we could show them the ancient Hebrew where it says dark like the earth, because the actual word aratazah means earth. And so the words in that actual verse are comparing it to the darkness of the ground. But that's a lesson for another time. Judah is the head tribe of Israel. Hebrews, was it 14:2? For our Lord sprang up out of the tribe of Judah, the tribe in which Moses did not talk concerning the priesthood. Well, guess what? Judah now is a part of the priesthood. All 12 tribes are a part of the priesthood. It's important because to see this language in 2023, after we have been oppressed for 500 years and counting, to see this language and to understand that our people belong to this language, for Mexicans to understand that black people belong to this people here, that we are of the same nationality, that we originate from the same languages, that it's all starting to come together. And the tribe of Judah is the Negroes. All right. I'll leave that there. If anybody needs to see that, now's the time to let me know, because I don't want to erase it if you're still trying to write this down. But you should be writing down all of this. All right. I'm going to go ahead and erase it. We're going to go to the next one. Next tribe. We will make sure to write down all 12 tribes on the board here at the end of class today. All right. I'll try to make sure that we have it filling up the screen here so that it's got a good, that we finish off the board with the 12 tribes. But we're doing them one at a time first. The next tribe is the tribe of Benjamin. Benjamin. So-called West Indians. West Indies. Now, to be more specific, who are the West Indies? These are your Jamaican, Trinidad and Tobago. Those are the islands, right? The ones that are considered the West Indies. Benjamin is pronounced Ban Yam. Let me make that capital. Ban Yam Yan. All right. The tribe of Benjamin. Nobody can really touch them when it comes to the music. Matter of fact, one thing about Benjamin that I really like, and I'm going to start writing the letters here. One thing I really admire about the tribe of Benjamin is that their music industry has not been nearly as polluted as the tribe of Judah's music industry here in the United States. So, though there have been some doctrinal differences over time that have separated them from the actual Hebrew, their music tends to resonate with at least understanding that they're Israelite, right? And that's something that you see in a lot of the old school, dance hall music from Shallow Ranks to Buju Banton and Anthony B and Barrington Levy and all them that create the music from those tribes. They tend to go back to the Old Testament a lot as well. Now that we have the tribes coming together, now we can really start to put all of these understandings together so that we can return back to our culture. Ban, this is joined. Yam, where's the Ya? Remember, the Ya looks like this. Ban, Yam, Yan. Again, another Ya, but this time with the N. Ban, Yam, Yan. Ban, Yam, Yan. That's what this is. Ban, Yam, Yan. Again, Bana joined together is Ban, sun. Yam, and I think there's Yan, Yam. I think that means right. So son of the right, and then Yan, I believe, is hand. I might have those mixed up, but son of the right, son of the right. Ban, Yam, Yan. Again, but this time in the Assyrian. All right. Ban. All right. Yum. Remember, this is not the end of the word, so the M still has the lip on the end. Ban, yum, and then again another ya. This time we're using an N. Ban, yum, yan. And what do we remember? What did we mention earlier? When an N is used at the end of a word, you have to use the end version of the word for the Assyrian. Notice we don't have to do anything different from here to here in the Hebrew, but from here to here, ban, yum, yan, another N. But this one's at the end of the word, so we have to drag that in right here. Why? Because that's what it looks like. All right. That's what it looks like. And it's connected. Ban yum yan. Ban yum yan. This is the same exact pronunciation. And even though we're using the Assyrian Hebrew, we are not changing the way it's pronounced. We are still using the ancient pronunciation, the ancient dialect, so to speak. Okay, we're not pronouncing it the way the Yiddish people do it. Again, we're not even using vowels when we say it. We're just saying the word as it originated. Ban yum yan. Ban yum yan. Again, keep in mind, the end na is different from the regular na. And that's only in the Assyrian Hebrew. The ancient Hebrew does not have that. It doesn't have that requirement, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can already start to see why brothers like the ancient Hebrew better. And, there's nothing wrong with either one of them. You can use either one you want. In fact, this is the one you're going to more commonly see across the earth today. This is the more common one that you see in artifacts, 500 to 1000 to 500 BC, where you start to see these artifacts more. Okay, Banyamyan, tribe of Benjamin, so-called Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Tobago, those are the West Indies. Next tribe, Levi. Levi, so-called Haitians. IET. Law. Now, the tribe of Levi in the Bible, and we pronounce it in the Hebrew, is pronounced Lawya. 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 How does that look? Well, again, going off of what we know, law. Notice that we're actually connecting to a letter here. La wa. Wa. Where's wa? It's right here. Law. We're not pronouncing the wa because we're connecting it to that L. So it's lao, law, lao. And then we're just adding the ya at the end. Law, ya, law, ya. And then in the Assyrian goes like that. Law, ya. All right, law, ya. If you need to refer to them just because they, these letters are so different from one another, there's the la. Line it up, that lines up. There's the wa. Line that up, this lines up. Ya. See how this looks? This is how it looks in the Assyrian. This is why I left here for y'all to always refer to. I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting left out with understanding what these letters are, because this is why I wrote it like this: Levi, Haitians, La Ya. And then we go and build the word using the letters from the old language. So it should be good enough, easy enough to follow along with. All right. La Ya. I want to take the time now while I'm erasing this. Make sure you like the class. Make sure to comment if you're stopping by. Make sure to say something, just check in. You know what I'm saying? Like and share the class. Make sure to share the class because, this truth doesn't get pushed unless we push it, right? And unless you're going physically somewhere and handing somebody your notes and telling them to study it, the easiest way for you to do very similar things is to share the class to them, social media, use it online, use the technology we have of today to, push this truth. Next tribe, Simeon. The tribe of Simeon. So far, we've done Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, so-called Dominicans. The so-called Dominicans. And the pronunciation of Simeon in the ancient Hebrew is, I don't need to put capital on here. Sha, my, one. Shamai one. Simeon. Shamai one. Shamai one in the ancient Hebrew, we're going to start building that word right now. Shah. And then you're going to use a ma, but that ma is connected to the letter I. Shammai one. Shammai means hear or heard. One, in this case, means affliction. Affliction heard is what Simeon means. Affliction heard. Your affliction is heard by the Most High. He knows the thing going. The Dominican tribes, Shammai one. Shammai one. Now we have it in the Assyrian. Oh, select it. Shah, there's your Shah. Ma. There's your I. Shammai. And then Wa. And then the end Na. Remember that end Na. This is the perfect example of writing Wa versus Na. Because this is connected together. Wan. When you look at it, they look very similar. When you look at it on the apps, it's going to look like this and then this. But don't let them confuse you because, again, the difference is the length of the line. Again, the end na. Had the na been used anywhere else in the word, it would have looked like this, like the number 3 almost. But na at the end is a longer dash down. So Shammai one. Since those are joined together. Shammai one. Shammai one. And again, Shammai one. If anything needs to be written down more than anything else during this Hebrew class, you got to write down the alphabet. Write it down, copy it, practice it, write the letters as often as you can, as much as you can. because the more practice you get with it, the more perfection you're going to get with remembering this. Shemaiwan, the tribe of Simeon, so-called Dominicans. And if you have any questions about how the tribe of Shemaiwan are the Dominicans, please refer to Captain Katazai's 12 Tribes lecture, where he went through extensive detail on every single tribe. You understand? Or just ask during class and we can get that for you. Shemaiwan. Let me make sure I still got this up. All right. So we've done Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon. Now we have Zebulun. Now we have Zebulun. Tribe of Zebulun. The tribe of Zebulun is from Guatemala to Panama. Zebulun. Zebulun from Guatemala to Panama, also known as Central America. All right, Central America, deriving from the Mayan Empire. Okay, some of the Incas. Central America, Guatemala to Panama. Okay, trying to think. I think Costa Rica falls into that category as well. Zabalawan. Now we're gonna start building that word. Za, ba, la, and then wa, and then a na at the end. Zabalawan. Balawan. Tribe of Zebulun. Okay. Going over this again. You know what? Let me rewrite this. I want to make sure it's larger. I don't know how it looks on the screen, but let me draw it a little bit larger. Zabalawan, the tribe of Zebulun, is actually my tribe. So Zabalawan. This is the one that I use when I'm stating my registry. Zabalawan. Now we're gonna write it in the Assyrian. There's your Za. There's your Ba. There's your La. And again, the Wa, and then the Na, which goes further down. Zabalawan. So those are your two versions of it for Zebulon. Give you a second to write that down. Y'all let me know if this is dark enough. Do I need to adjust the lights? Because I know that sometimes the lights can kind of take away from the font. All right. Zabalawan. Okay, that's good. Next tribe, Ephraim. Ephraim. So-called Puerto Ricans. So-called Puerto Ricans. Tribe of Ephraim in the ancient Hebrew is pronounced Ah, Pa, Ra, Yum. Aparayam. That's how you pronounce Ephraim in the ancient Hebrew. Aparayam. And we're building it in the ancient Hebrew, starting with the Ah, and then we're going into the Pa, and we're getting that Ra, and then yum. There's your ya, there's your ma, and then we join them to make it say yam. Parayum. A parayum, again, but in the Assyrian Hebrew. Ah. That's a terrible looking one. Let me try it again. Ah. Okay. Pa, which comes across like that. Ra, which just goes like that. Ya, and then ma. But notice that the ma is at the end of the word, so we don't have that lip right there. Again, M, when it's used anywhere else, has the lip. When it's used at the end, it looks more like a square. Parayum. Parayum is how I pronounce Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim. Okay. This is what we doing, man. We just going through the 12 tribes, you hear me? So y'all stick with it. We're going to get through it, get these notes in, and hold on to these notes, because who knows? If you're aimed to become an officer one day, this is an important thing that you need to know. Aparyum. The next tribe is Manasseh. How do I spell it again? Manasseh. Manasseh. So the so-called kings, right? Make sure that y'all can see that. So-called Cubans, and in the ancient Hebrew, Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh, is pronounced Manasseh. 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 Tribe of Manasseh is Manasseh. Ma, starting with the ancient Paleo. Na, see the difference there? Less teeth on it. Sha, get that sha in there. And then the H, because these are joined together. Manasseh. Let me know if y'all see that. Manasseh. I'm going to rewrite this one. There we go. Manasseh. That is, again, in the ancient Hebrew. Manasseh in the Assyrian Hebrew, starting with the letter M, coming across, keep that lip there. It's at the beginning of the word, not the end. Ma, na, right? And then we have the sha. And then we have the ha, Manasseh. Connect those two together. Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, right? Manasseh. I'll give that a second. Leave it on the screen for a minute for those that need to write it down. I'll give you a moment there to write that. Manasseh. I feel like I'm growing a hunchback. Been hunching over a little bit doing this. Hold on. Let me correct my posture. Manasseh. Manasseh. Towards the end, we're going to rewrite these all down anyway, so just keep that in mind. Manasseh. Next one is Gad, tribe of Gad. The tribe of Gad. And you see the new Predator movie? Well, the tribe of Gad going in, trying to defend the tribe from the Predator. You know what I'm saying? Ended up being the woman that take them down. Gad. So-called North American Indians. And believe it or not, the Hebrew pronunciation for Gad is just God. Not God like G-O-D, but God as the letter Ga and then a da at the end. And that's really all it is. It's just two letters. Ga and then da. God. Gad. God, same thing in this case. Here's the Assyrian. That's Ga, and then Da. Gad. The tribe of Gad, North American Indians. Just get that G in there and then the D. Join them together. Again, there's your G, there's your D. Join them together. Gad. God. Okay. Which means troop. Soldier, troop. You know what I'm saying? We will have it through the end. Next tribe is Reuben. Here's an interesting one to write. Reuben. We don't talk about the tribe of Reuben nearly enough, honestly. Seminole Indians. Seminole Indians. Seminole Indians. Ra-Awaban. Ra-Owl. This is actually joined. And then Ban. All right. Ra-Awaban. Now, when I write it in the ancient Hebrew, okay, Ra-Ah, but you got to make sure that you put that Wa with it, okay? Got to make sure to put that Wa with it. Ra-Awa. These are joined together, and that's where you get Awa. Ra-Awaban. And then we finish it with that Ban. B and then N. Ra-Awaban. Try to draw it larger so y'all can see it better. You know what? Let me try this other marker real quick. Or maybe even this one. Let me see. How's that look? Yeah, that's definitely deeper. I'm going to rewrite this. Let me use this one here. Get a little bit more writing on here. Ra. Awa. Awa. And then Ban. And again, while we're writing this down, you want to keep in mind now if you're if you're having trouble understanding this, it's this. Ra, Awa, Ban. Ra, Awa, but these are put together, they're joined together. And then Ba and then Na. But Ba and Na are joined together. Ra, Awa, Ban. And then, of course, you have your whole alphabet here so that you can see how they compare. Now that we've done it in the ancient Hebrew, let's see if we can match it up with the Assyrian. Okay. Ra, again. Ra. Okay. Ah. And then Wa. Ra, Awa. And then Ban. Boom. Ba. And then you have your Na, which goes further down. Right. Ra, Awa, Ban. Reuben. Okay. Leave that up there for a second for y'all to see it. So we're getting close to we started class. What time we start class? 6:15. So we're a little bit over an hour. Okay. I want to take the rest of the class to review the 12 tribes again. We're going to write them all on the screen. But of course we do need to finish these tribes. So Ra-Awaban, the tribe of Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians. Okay. The Seminole Indians. Getting closer here, we got a couple more. Asher, the tribe of Asher. Tribe of Asher, so-called Argentinians. Oh, wait, no, that's not. Asher is, Colombia to Uruguay. Slovakia. I'm thinking Naphtali. Shah. Asher, pronounced Ashar in the ancient Hebrew. So you want to start off with that ah, and then you got your Shah. You connect it with the Ra, and then you have Ashar. Okay. Try to make sure to give y'all some room to see it. Ashar. Ashar. Now we're doing this in the Assyrian. Ah. Then you have your Shah. Boom. Just like that. And then you have your Ra. Boom. Just like that. Ashar. Ashar. Got your tribe here. Asher. From Colombia to Uruguay. Colombia to Uruguay. That's Ashar. All right. Next one. Naphtali. Naphtali. This is the location geographically from Argentina to Chile. It's pronounced na pa thal. This is connected, and then ya at the end. Napathal is the ancient Hebrew name for Naphtali. Okay, Napathal. Okay, so in writing that in the Hebrew, na pa, and then thal. This is connected, and then you have your ya right here. Napathal. Okay, and again in the Assyrian, na pa. Notice they look similar. All right, and then you have your tha, which comes across like this. I could write that better. Thal, right there, and then ya. Naphthalia. Naphthalia is a tribe of Naphtali. So if you know anybody from Argentina, I don't know if it was, maybe it was Argentina that just won the soccer tournament. I forget who it was. I just know that's where Manu Ginobili is from. He's from Argentina. He would most likely be from the tribe of Naphtali, and he got the job done. One of the best six men ever played basketball. Naphtali, Naphthalia, Naphthalia, Naphthalia. Okay, that's the tribe Naphtali. Last, but most definitely not least, the goat himself. Or should I say the donkey himself? Issachar. Issachar. So-called Mexicans. Now, if anybody knows how to build anything, is Issachar. I understand. You understand? Yash, Shah, and then Kar. Yashakar. Now this one's a bit tricky because you got the Ya, and then you have the Shah. Yash. But aside from that sh at the end, the Yash, you also have a Shah by itself. Yash, Shah. Okay. Then you have the Ka, and then you finally have the Ra. Yash Shakar. Yashakar, which means he is hired. And I'll tell you what, ain't no tribe. I don't want to put tribes against each other. Look, this tribe works hard, man. They work hard. They are the least lazy. They try to say that the so-called Mexicans that come across the border are lazy people. Nah, who do you think built all these houses that we live in? Come on now. Yash, boom. Yash, Shah, Yash, Sha. Then we have Kar. Boom. Just like that. Yashakar. Yashakar. And that's the tribe of Issachar, the so called Mexicans. Okay. So called Mexican tribe. That's a beautiful thing to be able to come back to our culture, learn our language, find out that we are from the same people because our enemies have spent countless generations trying to keep us separated, trying to keep us, you know what I'm saying, at odds with one another, from gangs to drugs and, you know, Christian customs and Catholicism and all of that. But the ISUPK is tearing all those walls down so that we can build our nation back up together. So we're going to go through the line here again. I think I'll do 2 rows. So I'll go Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and then we'll go Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim. Ephraim. Let's start with that. Judah equals Yehowadah. Yehowadah, right? Yehowadah, Negroes. Yehowadah. Yehowadah. I guess that's gonna be the tricky part with doing this is try not to overwrite all the other ones. Let me see. Let's try that again. Da. All right. Yeah. Ha. Wa. Da. Ha. This is exactly what we went over earlier, but when we had each one at a time, it was taking up more of the screen. I'm only writing this size here because we got to make sure that we can fit all 12 of them on one, you know what I'm saying? So-called changes. Put that right here. Benjamin, Bun, Yam, Yan equals West Indies. West Indies. Ban. Ban Yum Yan. Ban Yum Yan. Let's see. So Ban Yum Yan. Ban Yum Yan. There we go. Ban Yum Yan. All right. Levi. Lao Ya. Lao Ya. Patience. Lao Ya spelled La Wa Ya. Connect the La and the Wa. Lao Ya. Same thing in the Assyrian. La Wa. And then Ya. La Ya. All right. Simeon. Sha. My. One. Shamai one. Shamai one. Dominicans. Dominicans. And again, Shamai one. Sha. My. And then a wa. And then a na. Shamai one. Shamai one. And again in the Assyrian, Sha, Ma, Shamai. And then you have your Wa, and then you have your Na. Shamai one. Remember, the Na longer than the Wa, right? Just like before. Zebulun. You know what we could do, and I'm thinking of doing this just to kind of help out. I want to draw a line here to separate these. Just to kind of make sure that we, because I know that these can all kind of blend together, so I'm just doing this to kind of organize it a little bit. I hope that helps a little bit. Zebulun. Za, ba, la, wan. Guatemala, Panama. Guatemala to Panama. And that is Za, ba, la, wan. Zabala wan. Zabala wan. Again, in the ancient Hebrew, in the Assyrian Hebrew, Za, ba, la, wan, and then na. Zabala wan. Zabala wan. Ephraim, Aparayam. The Puerto Ricans. The Puerto Ricans. I like to go low for this one. Pa, ra, yum. Aparayam, right? Aparayam. And again, in the Assyrian, pa, ra, and then ya, and then the ma at the end, which is squared off because it's an end ma. Hold on. I'll do that R over because that looks like trash. I know these are small letters, but you got to bear with me. That's only because we're writing all 12 tribes on the page at the same time, and that's not easy to do. Boom, just like that. Let me see how it looks. We're trying, okay? We're trying. Next is Manasseh. Draw a line down the middle here. Manasseh. Then we have Gad. Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, I'll try to write a little bit larger on this side. Reuben, Asher, Naphtali, and then Issachar. And then Issachar. All right. Again, Manasseh of the Cuban, or it's like Manasseh. Shah. Cubans. So-called Cubans. And again, in the ancient Hebrew, that is Ma, and then Na, and then Shah with the Ha at the end. Manasseh. You understand? Again, Ma, Na, get your Shah in there, and then get that H, the Ha in there. Connect it. Manasseh. Gad is Gad, which is the North American Indians. And Gad is simply a Ga and a Da. Ga. Ga and then Da. Gad. Getting through it. Again, we're just recapping the 12 tribes that we just went over one by one. Give it a second here. Let's recover what we've talked about again. Judah equals Yahwadah equals Negroes. Yahwadah. Yahwadah. Benjamin equals Banyamyan, which are the West Indies. Ban Yam Yan. Ban Yam Yan. Keep that long tail on the na there. Levi, Law Yah, the Haitians, with a la, a wa, and a ya, but the la and the wa are connected, so it's Lao Ya. Lao Ya. Lao Ya. All right. Simeon, Shamaiwan, the Dominicans, Shamaiwan, Shamaiwan, Shamai, and then wa, and then na. So those two are joined, these two are joined, Shamaiwan. Zebulun, Zabalawan, from Guatemala to Panama. Okay. Zabalawan, Zabalawa, and Na. So wa and na are joined together, and that's one. Zabalawan, Zabalawan, and the Assyrian. Ephraim, Aparayam, the Puerto Ricans. Aparayam. Yum. Aparayam. All right. Manasseh, Manasseh, the Cubans. Manasseh. Manasseh. Again, we just went over Gad. Gad is God. God with a Ga and then a Da. And you join them together. Reuben. Ra. Ah. Wa. And then Ban. Reuben. Seminole Indians. Ra. Ah. And then get your Wa in there. And then get the Ban in there. B. And then the Na. Ra'al Ban. Ra'al Ban. There's Reuben. Okay. And we have Reuben in the Assyrian. Ra. Ah. Wa. And then Ba. And then the end Na, which goes further down than the Wa does. Or Ra Awaban. Boom. See that? Make sure to remember that. Asher. Ashar. 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 I believe that's Colombia to Uruguay. Colombia to Uruguay. Make sure I got volume. Okay, cool. Colombia to Uruguay, Ashar. There's your Ah, there's your Shah, and then your Ra. Ashar. Join the Shah and the Ra together. Again, in the Assyrian, Ah, Shah. It doesn't need that much of a lip. Ashar. Boom. Ashar. Rounding it out, we got Naphtali. When you pronounce it in the ancient Hebrew, it's Na, Pa, Thal, and then Yah. Napathal Yah. These are the so-called Argentinians. 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 And then writing it in the ancient Hebrew, you start off with the Na, then you have the Pa, then you have the Tha. Remember, the Tha looks like a T that's fallen over, but Thal is T and the Tha and the La put together, and then you just put the Ya at the end. Napathal Ya. You rewrite that Ya. It's a little bit messy. Boom, 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 just like that. Okay. All right, and that's the same thing on the other side here. Na in the Assyrian, Na, and then you have your Pa, and then you have your Tha, your La, and then the Ya. Napathal Ya. Last but not least, we have Issachar, which is pronounced Yash, Shah, and then Kar, so-called Mexicans. Glorious people. You understand? Yash, Shah, Kar, which is a Ka and a Ra. Always refer to the language here if you need help remember. Yashakar, right? Yash, and here it is in the Assyrian. Yash, Shah, Kar. Boom. Yash, Shakar. Straight like that. So I hope y'all got a good visual. I don't know if I could scoot this in anymore. Let me see if I can scoot it just a little bit. But there you have it. The 12 tribes of the nation of Israel in the ancient Hebrew and in the Assyrian. We'll go down the list one more time and then we'll go ahead and end the class with this. If you're going to take a screenshot, if you're going to take notes, now is definitely the time to do it. Hopefully this is legible enough, about as good as it can be, considering we had to put all 12 of them on the board at the same time. Judah equals Yahwadah, the so-called Negroes. Yahwadah. Yahwadah. Benjamin equals Banyamyan, the West Indies. Banyamyan. Banyamyan. Levi equals Lao-Yah, which means Haitians. Lao-Yah. Lao-Yah. You see the two difference? Ancient and Assyrian. We're doing that for each one. Simeon equals Shamaiwan equals Dominicans. Shamaiwan. Shamaiwan. Zebulun equals Zabalawan, the so-called Guatemalans to Panama, Central America. Zabalawan. Zabalawan. Ephraim means equals Aparayam, so-called Puerto Ricans. Aparayam. Aparayam. All right, moving over here. Manasseh equals Manashah, so-called Cubans. Manashah. Connect the Shah and the Ha, and then you get Shah. Manashah. Again, Manashah in the Assyrian. Gad equals God equals North American Indians. Gad is basically Ga and Da. You're putting it together to get God. Don't think of it like in English, the word God. That's not what we're saying. God means troop in ancient Hebrew. You're thinking of the word Allah. If you're thinking of power, then that's a different word altogether. God. Reuben, Ra Awaban is the Seminole Indians. Ra Awa, Awa, and Ah and Wa are joined together. So Ra Awaban, the Seminole Indians. Asher is pronounced Ashar. These are the ones that geographically were from what was now known today as Colombia to Uruguay. Ashara. Join the Shah and the Ra, you have Ashar. Ashar. You see that? Naphtali, Naphthalia, the so-called Argentinians. You have your Na, Pa, Tha, La. The Tha and the La are connected, so it's Naphthalia. Finish it with the Ya at the end. Naphthalia. Naphthalia. I'm just going to rewrite this one because it was just a little bit too close to the top there. Let me just rewrite that real quick. So we have Na, Pa, Tha, and then La, and then a Ya. Naphthalia. We'll take it. Naphthalia. Finally, last but not least, we got Issachar, Yash Shakar, so-called Mexicans. Yash Shakar. Okay? Yash Shakar. Shakar. And then Ra. Yash Shakar. Yash Shakar. So there we have it. Today, what we've done is we've recapped the alphabet, which of course you can see right here on the right side, both in the ancient Hebrew and in the modern Hebrew, or so-called Assyrian Hebrew. Then we went ahead and got into the 12 tribes of Israel, translated it to the ancient Hebrew, also showed you what it looked like in the Assyrian. So we have that all here on the board here for you at the end. If you're paying attention to the whole class, Most High in Christ, I hope that you get a lot of practice in with remembering how to pronounce these. Yahawada, Banyamyan, Laoya, Shemaiwan, Zabalawan, Apariyam, Manashah, God, Ra'awaban, Ashar, Napatya, Yashakar. These are good things to know because when you start to go reading in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and you're starting to see these names being used all the time, you'll be able to pronounce them during your Sabbath service with much more confidence. You understand? And then you'll also be able to recognize how it looks right away. So with that, again, we are the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, that they are the real Israelites that the Bible speaks of. And with that, Shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. And to all the brothers, Yahweh Shema Atah Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. To all the sisters, Shalom.